This is the life. I mean, now I can relax after a long day of working and stuff at my job. I can just relax, enjoy some video. British Fury?
Sorry, old chap, but I'm trying to hide from someone.
Hide you from who?
Good eye, mate.
Good day, yes?
Jerry's beard. Yes, good eye to you too, my friend. Now, I know all about you because my cousin told me everything about you.
Your cousin? You never told me you had a cousin.
Unfortunately, yes, he's my cousin. He's my third cousin twice removed. Probably the third time after today.
Well, nice to meet you.
For God's sakes, Philly, do not let him in your room. In fact, don't let him touch anything in your room.
Don't let him touch nothing. What do you mean?
You remember that time I told you about that atomic testing thing we did in Australia? Yeah, let's just say that wasn't an accident. It was a cover-up accident, only to this fucking twat here, I left the room for 5 seconds to use the fucking John, and then fucking out of nowhere, he fucking pressed the button, and then God help me and God help the Queen, he detonated one of our nukes, setting all our tanks to ablaze, but only one tank survived.
Oh, wow.
Look, how many times do I have to tell you? Every time. I would told you it was that damn kangaroo's fault. He fucking appeared out of nowhere in the facility, and he was trying to mess around with all the buttons. I tried to fight him back, but he kicked me and made me hit that red button and set off the nuke. It wasn't my fault. So you're telling me that a kangaroo just magically came into a military bunker, a military British fucking bunker, and you're telling me that kangaroo came in, you took a fight with it, and you fucking knocked it back? I think you've been drinking more than you have, and I should have never let you near that facility. Yes, I know we need to owe a lot of money for the Red Queen after that incident thing, but I gotta tell you, I was trying to tell you since you were running away from me, I was trying to tell you I made a deal with Wargaming to make that mistake that we did into a profitable idea. Not only did you ruin my fucking career and also demoted me after that day, now you're bringing it to war stories? Oh, brilliant. Why don't you just tell the world of my fucking mistake of that I had a retarded fucking cousin twice removed, probably gonna be the third time after this, by fucking you fucking it up, and now you're telling me the whole world of, brilliant, now you just made my jolly old day.
Guys, I don't want to interrupt anything, but what is he talking about?
I mean, I put a new tank, it was a premium tank in our garage of the mistake we did. The mistakes we made? No, what you made.
Wait, did you just say you put a new tank in World of Tanks?
That's the thing, you never listen to us. You never listen to me. You never believe me. You're always into that fucking tea bit, you tea-sucking succubus. Oh yeah, succubus, huh? Well, how about your country? Fucking southern version of us with kangaroo fucking in your area, you kangarooing cocksuckers.
Wait, I want to hear this. Wait, what did you just say?
You know what, princess? You can make fun of us being like southern British, but at least we didn't dress like Cub Scouts in World War II in the African campaign. Oh yeah, like your nation's any better. I mean, look at your flag. It has our British flag on it, but who designed your flag? A bunch of kindergartens that just put stars all over it? Oh, that's really honorable for your country, eh?
Wait, guys, stop
What is your name again? Oh God, save the Queen! More like, oh God, you kiss this old fraud, brittle old's ass!
At least I'm not the one who's trying to pretend that they're fucking from the South in America. You're just the gayer version of it, like Russell Cree.
You take that back about Russell Cree. I will personally kill you, you goddamn British motherfucker.
Enough!
God. What were you saying? You put a new premium tank in World of Tanks about this whole accident or whatever fucking testing thing you did?
Yes, I put a new premium tank into the store. It's in there right now. It's called the Atomic Tank.
Oh, another tank to review. Alright.
Take a look at it.
But wait, we're in the middle of an argument.
We'll take your argument somewhere else. I gotta do a review.
Yes, I'll take my leave now. Goddamn British asshole. Fine.
Yeah, don't let the door slam you on the way out.
You know, even though our argument was totally barbaric, you, sir, are not as a good sport gentleman yelling like that.
Well, so much for my relaxation. Let's get started on this review.
G'day mates, today we're reviewing the Atomic Tank. Now, the Atomic Tank is the same exact thing as the Centurion 1. There's only 3 difference variation. They fire the same bullets and they fire the same thing and they have the same armor variations. The only difference between the two, the Atomic suffers spotting. It's only at 84, where the Centurion 1 can look up to literally up to 89. So it's a lot more viewing range you could see over the Atomic Tank. However, the Atomic Tank has something different and better than this one. Although the gun is fully maxed and it can actually fight some Teratons, it only has an 8-second reload. And matter of fact, most of the British medium tanks have an 8 or 8.30 reload. The Atomic only has a 7-second reload, meaning it's the fastest Centurion 1 shooter in the game. So, basically, this gun shoots really fast, but it doesn't do much damage, but I'll get to that in a minute. But first, let us review the armor. Alright, here we are at the armor. Now, everybody knows the Centurion 1's armor is not really good. It's one of the worst armors for a tier 8. But then again, most Centurion drivers know that this tank, I'm going to say to you right now, has to revolve around sniping your enemies and relying on spotting to basically keep your distance away from your enemy and try to only show your head if possible. Hopefully not going aggressively against tanks and using your great mobility speed against your enemy. As I said about the head armor, it's the only thing that's strongest. It's literally 131 millimeters, pretty much directly in the head gun. With that little oval shaped head, that's another 100 millimeters right there. So basically you're looking at almost nearly, I would say for the gun mantlet part, pretty much around like 200 millimeters or maybe like 190. Close to that. Like, you could block a lot of armor piercings with it, but be mindful. If they shoot HESH or high explosive, you ain't gonna block nothing. Those are the type of bullets you can't block anything with. But yeah, the head part, where the rusted part on this tank, I'll show you real quick. See, like where that brown rusted stuff, that is the only strongest part on your tank. The rest, however, is what you expect on a Centurion 1. It's got no good hull armor. It doesn't have good hull armor. It does not good have head armor rotation thing. It is literally 75 millimeters angle. You're looking at probably 85 to 90, but that's very, very low for a tier 8. But then again, that's normally common for mostly these tanks, and most British drivers will tell you that that's common for this tank. Like, it's not designed to be a heavy brawler. But at the same time, getting hit by something really strong will get full-fledged damage on you, and it will hurt you like a bitch. Especially the side. The side's only 50 millimeters, but if it hits the track piece, like for example, the track is only 20 millimeters. So if you look at the picture again, if they shoot where the ring circles are that makes the thing rotate, it will block it and you got like pretty much 20 more millimeters. But that's not saying much. But if they shoot in between the upper plate, which where none of those, I would say like donut rings, I'm not pointing it because obviously everybody knows the mobility of the track's turn is obviously the wheels, but if it shoots anything above it to that plain flat piece in the center, it's going to full-fledged with 50 millimeters of penetration only protecting you. So my advice, if you have this tank, like I've drove it many times, I've drove it like almost near 30, you're going to have a crew that's going to have to be welly muscled, like the muscle perk and stuff like that, and you're going to need ammo rack as a perk, and you're going to need pretty much just track repairs, because as you can see on the front end of this tank too, it's exposed. The tracks are exposed on this tank, so any straight shot and a narrow shot right in the front hull, it's going to track you, and trust me, you do not want to be stuck in the open with this tank. This tank will obliterate easily from any tank, especially artillery. If you get tracked and there's artillery, God for heaven, you make sure that artillery misses, or you have a crew that has track repairs to get you the hell out of there as fast as possible, because this is a tank you do not want to sit still in one place. Now, the upper part of the tank, like I said, that's why it's a nightmare for this tank for arty. It's only 20 millimeters. On the back end, it's even worse. You only got like basically 19 millimeters because of the flat surface. So you got like paper thin chic armor, but that's common for a lot of tanks to have a bad up top armor. So keep in mind, you do not want to get hit
on the top with artillery. So make sure 3 things. You have like repair kits, first aid, because you're going to definitely need that for your officer if they get killed. And you're going to definitely need fire extinguisher. So you can't have room to put anything else but those 3 consumables, because without any of them, you're going to lose some of your crew, you're going to lose your tracks, and you're going to lose all this equipment pieces that easily can be destroyed on this tank. So keep in mind, make sure you keep a distance. So you're probably thinking, well, that doesn't sound like a good tank, Fury. I mean, what else is it good on it? Well, let's talk about the gun real quick. The gun is pretty much the thing I said is the most best thing out of this. The gun has a 7-second reload, so if you have a good crew like me, you could get it down to 5.76. That's really fucking good for a medium tank, especially when the damage is like, oh, I'll get to that in a minute when I talk about the bullets. But first, aiming time 2.30, accuracy at 100 millimeter or range. That's pretty much like 5 grids over. That's 0.35. Accuracy on the move 0.55. Accuracy and rotation turret is 0.91. Maximum range is 720, maximum elevation is 18, maximum depression is 10. So you got some very good depression, you got good elevation on this tank. Very good for sniping, which is what the key thing you're supposed to do in this tank is snipe. Because the reason why I'm beating this in the head is because I've seen so many people now bought the Atomic and they liked it, but at the same time, you're not supposed to go front end balls to the walls with it. Which is a huge problem because 90% of the maps you're going to have to go balls to the walls, with a few exceptions. There's like I think like Springfield Line, one of them is, but Himmelsdorf, you don't want to be on Himmelsdorf with this tank. Dear God, no. That will get you killed very easily in open field, close range. Well, city map's not an open field, close range, but you get the hint. It's like one narrow hallway, and then you got like fucking, you know, heavy tanks like the VK100 shooting hesh at you. Yeah, not a good sign for that tank. Horsepower, 750. Power ratio, 16.68. Forward speed, 50. Top reverse speed, 20. Chance of fire, 20%. Now, I call bullshit on the 20% part because how weak I told you about the 50 millimeter and the top part, it's going to set you on fire. Like I said, you're going to have to pack that fire extinguisher like I just said. You're going to need it. You're going to probably be laughing thinking you can, and you probably like, oh, I've got these perks that will keep me from not setting on fire. I'll be fine. But trust me, this tank plays into a tier 10. You don't want to be set on fire by a tier 10. As a matter of fact, this tank should not be in a tier 10, but I'll describe that later at the end. But first things first, I'm going to show you the tracks now. The rotation speed is 36. Track resistance, 0.6, 0.9, 1.30. Track armor is, like I said, is really bad on this tank. I mean, you can have a good chance of blocking it because, look, for example, you got that upper plate little side crate armor to protect some of the track from the impact of the bullet. But if anyone shoots you in the front, it's going to guarantee to get you tracked a lot. So keep that in mind. The other thing, too, it's like the tracks will block some stuff. Like, for example, like against 7s and probably 6s if their guns are weak enough. But you're not going to block mostly much. So you want to keep this, like I said, further back as possible. Like I said, I have to say that blue in the face because every time I see the Atomic players, they get killed instantly because they charged up in the front lines. Now, turret rotation. Well, viewing range is 390, which is very good for a medium tank, especially if you got, you know, reconnaissance, sensor awareness, and all that. So you'll be able to see the target far away before they see you, which is good for a medium tank driver. It's almost like the Lion's kind of view range when I reviewed that tank. Rotating speed, 34. Now, I'm going to show you this right now in a clip in a battle that I'm going to show you the reloading of a good crew and how fast it goes and also how good it turns around and stuff and how far you can actually shoot with it at pretty much 4 grids over. So, be back in a few. Now, let's show the gun range. Now, this from here to there is pretty much 4 to 5 grids over. So, as you can tell by the reticle, it's really spot on for its accuracy. And there we go. Penning them right now. And the aim time makes it so good.
But then again, I'm using the snake bite crew, so minus it by 5, it will still be a little bit less. So he's dead. Now let's show you the head rotation. So as you can see by the head rotation, it is like averagely speed. So it's not really too fast like a light tank and stuff, but it's average. Now let's show the speed. Let me start over here on the starting line. So I'm going to drive here, then drive back, because there's like a hill here. I wanted to show like how fast it goes from uphill and downhill. So downhill, you can go like nearly almost like 50, but 52. But if the normal speed on this thing is usually 50. So I don't know why it says like 27 for mobility when literally when you drive full max speed, it can go like up to 50, which is really good. So clutch braking, yeah, it's slightly slow, but let's try this again. Let's see if we can get up that hill. Come on, little buggy, keep pushing. So on the hills and stuff, so on hilly terrains, it's still not bad. But let's see, going up a hill. Going down with the speed, and it went down 10 plus, but still fast enough to get up that hill. So yeah, this is great for mobility on hilly terrain. So keep that in mind. It's like this tank can really do good against maps like the new China map and all that. Alright guys, we're back. Now let's do the single range. Single range is 750. Again, not bad, but the problem is if you look at the concealment, it's only 39. So standing still is 0.21, when moving is 0.16. Again, this tank is average, but it's not very good at hiding. Even when you put camouflage on it, it's going to only be like 43. Not really worth it, but that little extra does help. But at the same time, you don't really want to be caught with your pants down. So keep in mind to stay as far back as possible, but make sure your radio does not entwine with their radio to get detected. So keep that in mind. And then of course you got your normal driver and all that. I've already mentioned that in the video that I did, the little driving thing. So yeah, you see like the problem too, if it's 75 millimeters and you caught you by the side, you can kill like 3 officers in one hit. So just be careful when you get flanked by an enemy. Alright, now let's talk about the bullets. Now this is the thing I was talking about, the bullets. The bullets is the same thing as the Centurion 1. It's fully upgraded Centurion 1 gun, just with a faster reload. So armor piercing is basically, the damage it does is 173 to 288. Penetration is 170 to 283, which is not bad because it can almost barely pen a frontal full armor of a Tiger II's whole armor. Now Tiger II's whole armor is like pretty much like 180 to 190, so it's almost close to do that, but it's just barely and not enough. But the cost of one bullet is 680, which is really good to have. Now APCR, same damage, but this bullet could go right through a Tiger II's whole armor because it's 194 to 323. Now that goes right straight through a 90-degree whole armor of a Tiger II, so that's pretty damn good. And Tiger II's, watch your ass if you see it, because if he loads that, it will go right through you. But pretty much the cost of this bullet is 4,400. Just wow. So you gotta make sure you gotta make that shot right, Atomic players, because if you don't, that bullet is gonna bite you in the ass without no premium. Alright, sorry about that guys, we had some little technical difficulties. The audio and everything got cut out in the second part and basically had some problems with it. So I'm gonna start off again right at this point. High explosives is 210 to 350 damage, penetration is 32 to 53, and one cost of bullet is 170. Now, I packed only 17, but you don't really need that much. Any Centurion driver knows that high explosive bullets is kind of useless, but they're used for basically against artillery. They're like best for that. Like for example, the Hummel, the Bumblebee, is like the perfect artillery to shoot it at because it has that 20 millimeters very top plate of the gun where it's holding. So shooting at that will do a lot of damage to it, nearly almost 350. So that's why I packed that many, just in case if some RNGs did not want to depend it, so basically I just did that. And there you go guys. Now the other thing too, there is no unique officer, there's no Australian officer, there's no radiation officer. And there you go guys, there's no unique officer, so you get a standard one, and there is no
op for this besides the op ace to complete, but besides that, there is like no like basically ops, special ops like the Chrysler K, you know, like tank and the Banshee. But besides that, it's just a standard Centurion 1 just with a premium thing with a little history. So without further ado, let's get into battle. Okay lads, here we are in the first battle. Now, as you can tell by the back screen, this is a tier 10 game, which is, in my opinion, has the biggest problem with this tank. The problem with that is just like, the gun only does 190, so I have to load the premium rounds, which is the most expensive one, but this thing has no armor. So, basically what I had to do was try to play it as a scout tank. And I really didn't want to do that, but I had no choice, because the thing is, even though this thing is a scout tank and it detects pretty good, it just has that poor survivability. So I'm beyond terrified because nobody came with me. The entire team is attacking E5, and I only got as a Ram Borsuk, and I got a T30. That's it. And it's terrifying because all they need is 110 to charge that way, but some strange reason there's no 10s. So I moved up a little bit further up to see if I could detect someone, and boom, there we go. There's that beautiful detection range. It's like 4 or 5 grids over, and fired my first premium shot right into him. Pinned him right in the hole of the bottom plate, whole armor. And it's beautiful because it's like beautiful at sniping. Now I tried to shoot at him again, but didn't work. Now I thought that FV2 of 15B was right there, but he's behind the other hill. So I'm moving along and I'm trying to play this extremely cautiously because, again, you don't want to be going balls to the walls charging into the enemy unless there's like nobody around him. But in this case, you want to play it as cautiously as a light tank. You do not want to go, you know, like I said, balls to the walls. There's the tanks again, but this time it's an Indian Panzer I'm seeing, and I'm like, okay, I can't shoot him, so I'm requesting fire. Hopefully that Borsuk had a shot. But unfortunately, though, I had a bad luck of getting assisted damage because where I am, there's hardly nobody helping me. So I basically have to be like, okay, I'm going to have to move up a little more. But thankfully, I didn't see it earlier, but like the IS-7 came up behind me and I didn't see him. So we're both pushing up. Now, I'm pushing up to the ridge here, and I'm seeing those heavy tanks, and I'm like, oh, okay, they can pop around the corner and shoot me. So what I did is sit right here just for a few minutes. As you can tell by this tank, it really has a very good spotting range for its damn British tank, which is common for the, like I said, the Centurion thing, but it's just, to me, it's like, it's amazing when you actually put a premium crew in it. I mean, once again, I am playing with the snakebite, so it does make it a little bit better, but it's not saying much. It doesn't affect it too badly. It just gives me 5+ more aim time. But regardless, it's still not a pretty bad tank. I mean, this is the type of tank I have fun, like, going around, messing around, and not, like, caring much. But in this type of gameplay, I have to care, because it's a tier 10. One little mistake can cost me the entire fucking match. So I'm noticing the team's pushing up in the right-hand center near F6, and I'm pushing back now to intercept them. Now, the Indian Pens are finally followed to that guy, and you're probably thinking, well, this is not much of a video, Fury. You're not showing much of the Pens. Well, here we go. This is where we combat the first time in front clan. Shoot that guy. Boom. Light tank dead. And thanks for that gun depression, I was able to go a little bit downwards and then see the Scorpion. Boop. He's dead. That 5-second reload. The aim time makes it a little bit hard. Then I'm seeing the freaking VK 45.2A. He's trying to hide behind cover. I'm trying to pull back, thinking I'm retreating, pull up, but then he's like, oh shit, he's trying to trick me. And then all of a sudden he comes right out, misses the first shot into the ground. I pen him with that very good accurate gun, even though the aim time's a little off, but it still has a very good penning gun. But he angled where I couldn't pen him with my premium rounds. I'm like, you son of a... And then I fired again right here, and then M48 Patton got him.
And then I'm seeing the top part falling down. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm backing down before that bat chat decides to shoot me. And then I look to my right. I'm like, oh, that's an FV215B. I'm like, oh, fuck me. So I hide in this little ditch thing, like, okay, maybe I can block him a little bit, but I'm like, wait a minute, what am I saying? That's an FV215B. There's no way I'm going to block his gun. So I'm like, speed, use speed. And thankfully, the speed does get me out of there. I shot him one more time. I'm driving away going like, oh, shit. Then I pen him one more time again. And then, thankfully, M48 Patton took the kill again, which I don't mind. Killing, stealing is not a problem with me. I don't care. It's usually I want to survive and do damage. That's the whole point of world tanks. And this tank does it. It does a lot of damage once you put in the right type of crew and the right type of play style. Now, I'm trying to snipe out the Lion tank. I bounced the first shot, but he finally died. And that's what you have to do. You just got to keep sniping. I know I said that enough, but that's what you do. And then the first shot he blocked, and I blocked it. I blocked it again, and then one more shot he pinned, and then boom. Oh man, see, you gotta play like a madman if you get too close. You can't sit still with this. So there you go, almost like 10, 11 pens, 2 assists, 2 kills, 2 criticals, not bad. But unfortunately those were APCR shots, so I had no choice but to load them because, again, tier 10s with a 170, it can do something, but I'd rather have the 190 because in this scare scenario. And then, boop, 11 pens, and then 3 kills. What a beautiful thing to end it in. Killing a waffle cocksucker, as most people call it. So, damn, yep, that's how you're supposed to play this tank. It's supposed to be aggressive, light tank with sniping capabilities. That's how you do it. As the commander would say, well, that's how you do it. But let me show you the reward now. And then we'll talk about the final verdict. And here you goes, guys. Only 2k and 115 damage with assists with 464. I didn't get that much block or much assist because, again, nobody was there to help me. And then I finally had to do the damage myself, and thankfully it played out perfectly. Even though despite the fact I did good in a tier 10, it should not play up to a tier 10. I mean, I had to spend APCR rounds just to pen some tier 10s. And some of them I didn't need to, like the Scorpion and the T49. But then again, when you're in this situation, you don't have time to switch the bullets. You want to get rid of the tanks as quickly as possible, no matter what you load. So that's what sometimes that has to be done. It has to be done. But despite the fact that I did that, and I have like a April Assault server, which is basically you just play a battle and you get more silver. So honestly, I wouldn't make that much money. I still got like 125 times it. So basically, my 61k would have been probably a 30k easily. Where non-premium, it would be 25k down to like 5k. So spending APCR in this tank, not really the best idea to have a lot, which is sad because that's the majority of the pen that you have to do. But even without that premium bullet and I get into a tier 8 and use the stand around, I could probably walk away with nearly 128k. I mean, I've done it before, but it was like only if you could do it in a tier 8 only. And if you get lucky enough to get on the side with your normal armor piercings with tier 9s. But 10s, yeah. But despite the fact with all that damage, I'm on the top leaderboard on a tier 10, even though I'm making that M48 Patton really pissed off because he's probably like, how the fuck did an 8 get up there? It's because I have premium and the premium, pretty much the premium tank, and that's why I got up there more. And it's a tier 8, so I survived a tier 10, so that's why. Okay, so the price to get this tank is pretty much $10,045, which is equivalent to a $50 tank. And the lowest it goes is down to $9K and 55, which is still going to be $50. So regardless of what you look at it, it's going to be $50. It just depends if you want to buy the Ultimate, which gives you a lot of premium and stuff, or the regular version, which you can save up a little bit of gold and buy something else. But to be honest with you, there's no way getting around it. You could probably say, well, I'll get the $29.99 and then the $14.99 and then get the $4.99. But it still equals up to that amount, so you're still stuck with buying that much. So, in my final verdict, let's just recap real quick. But before we do that, I forgot to mention the history real quick.
that little joke I did in the beginning, yes, that actually happened, but not like the way how an accident thing. But yes, this was test at basically in Australia, in the south part of Australia, of a nuclear bomb. And this British Centurion was one of the stationary vehicles that was being tested on, but somehow, out of pretty much unexplained and unreasonable thing, it survived a 9.1 an atomic nuke blast. Only got splashed with sand all over it. Only got lightly damaged and radiation, obviously. But it was functional for 40 years. It was basically still in good functional condition for 40 years after that blast, making it probably the most mysterious tank that how the hell did it survive at 9.1. And like I said in the video, 9.1's like really right in the fuck. Like the best example I could show is like in that picture right there. That's almost a 9.1. It's literally right fucking there. And it survived it. That's incredible for a tank, and I would love to know more history about it, but it did survive it. Now, let's take all the history aside and just look at the tank in general. Yes, it would be nice for people to collect this as if you're a history person. If you're going to do that, be my guest. Just get it if you want as a history tank collector, like the Tiger 131's a real tank and all that. Go ahead. Be my guest. But let's just consider the tank itself. It's got a little less spotting range than the Centurion 1. It fights into tier 10s. Can only do like 230 damage. You gotta hide with it. You can't go brawl. It's good at sniping, but it can't go up against tier 10 sniping because hold down tier 10 heavies will be a problem, and mostly it will not survive any tier 10 bullet that would fuck it up really bad. But besides that, it's just a Centurion 1 premium tank with a better reloading gun, but less damage. So I have to give this tank, and I don't know how to rate it because I know a lot of British people like this tank. A lot of people already do because of the fast reloading, and it's a Centurion 1. There's still a big, huge cult over the mediums, like the Cromwells and all that in the comments. They're still pretty good, and I recommend it, yeah, because they're pretty good too. I'm not really a medium driver, but I actually love the British mediums. I like playing around with them and not be really, really serious with them. However, due to the pretty much how this tank does, I have to give it a 7 out of 7. You know, like 7.7 out of 10. It's very fun to play, yes, and it's very fast. It has mobility to get the hell out of there or mobility to flank around the target, but without much armor. And the way how these maps work, and a lot of these maps, they're close range maps. That makes it very hard for sniping. Without concealment, it's going to get detected a lot, and you have to rely on your head armor and pray to God no one shoots hesh at it, because then it will pen through your head like nothing. You gotta be careful with that. So, in the amount of money it costs for $50 for this, this is pretty much a tank that's only people who really love the Centurion 1. Don't buy it if you don't want armor. If you really want armor, the best tank... Actually, does the Huntsman have armor? I'm trying to remember all the British tanks. Nope. The ones that really do have whole armor is mostly these guys, like the Centurion T95 and the Chieftain T95. Because the way how they're angled and slope, these guys are not angled slope enough. But then again, they're designed to be snipers. But I still leave it as that rating because, like, for example, you don't want to, like, see this in tier 10s. Dear God, you don't want to see it in tier 10s. And it could easily get killed. So keep in mind, if you want this tank, just be prepared to die a lot in it. Unless you snipe really far and rely on your team, then you will make it to the top with this tank. But until then, we'll see what another tanks bring out. Or maybe I won't, depending on the voting that you guys are going to be doing after this video is done. And I will see if I continue this job or not. But until then, I will see you comrades in the next video. Bye, guys.
Oh yeah, God save the Queen. More like you God, you lick her ass.